AITA for choosing my daughter's wedding over my son's graduation? I'm a dad in my late 50s, married to my wife for 28 years. We have 2 kids, our daughter, Ray, now 27F, and our son, Evan, now 21M. We're not a super dramatic family. We do birthdays, holidays, lazy Sundays. I walk the dog at 6 a.m., my wife hums while she cooks, and our group chat is 90% memes and weather complaints. I always thought I knew my kids' hearts. Then 2022 happened, and, apparently, I didn't. 2 years ago, we landed in a scheduling nightmare. Ray got engaged in the fall and locked in a wedding date pretty quickly, May 21st. It's her birthday, and she loved the corny symbolism of starting a new chapter on the day she was born. I remember how her face lit up. Dad, it's perfect. I already paid the deposit. Can you imagine the photos with 521 on the invites? She was giddy, and we were giddy with her. We toasted with cheap Prosecco and called family. At that point, Evan was in his junior year of high school. We had no idea when his graduation would be. Dates weren't public yet. He's always been more low-key, the type who thinks school ceremonies are performative, his word. He joked that he wanted a burrito more than a cap and gown. So when Ray announced her wedding date, it wasn't like a siren went off in my head. Fast forward to spring. The graduation schedule lands, and the ceremony is May 21st, same day, morning graduation, late afternoon wedding across town. On paper, impossible, but maybe manageable. In reality, a logistical and emotional mess. My wife and I sat at the kitchen table with 2 calendars, 3 highlighters, and 1 sick feeling. We called the venue, asked about moving Ray's date. We can, but you'll lose the deposit and that Saturday slot is gone until next year. Ray's voice got tight on the phone. I didn't know the graduation would be that day. I announced the date first, Dad. It's my birthday. We've already ordered things. She wasn't being a bridezilla. She was just attached to it. And she'd paid money she couldn't recoup. We floated the split idea. I'd do the graduation, my wife would do the wedding. My wife went quiet. I want to be there when Ray gets ready. I want to bind the bouquet with her grandmother's ribbon. I wanted to walk my daughter down the aisle. The idea of not being there for that felt like ripping out a chapter of a book. We sat Evan down. He shrugged, but his shoulders were stiff. It's fine, he said, staring at a spot on the wall. You should go to the wedding. It's a bigger deal. He laughed without smiling. It's not like I can move my graduation. We told him we would celebrate him big. A party the weekend before, a dinner, the works. We'll make it right, son. He nodded. Okay. He didn't argue. He didn't beg. Part of me took that as permission. Part of me knew it wasn't. We tried to make it special early. I bought tickets to his favorite stand-up comic for the weekend before graduation, planned a surprise dinner with his friends. He said no to the party. Too much fuss. He said he had homework the night of the show. I thought he was just being Evan, understated. But now I see it. He was signaling. We didn't read it. May 21st arrived with that weird sun that makes you both anxious and excited. We sent Evan a long message in the morning. We are so proud of you. FaceTime us before you line up. He didn't pick up. We were at the wedding venue by 10 a.m. My wife helped Ray pin her veil. I tied my tie 3 times. I stood at the back of the church with my daughter's arm in mine. The doors opened, music swelled, and I remembered her as a toddler with cake on her cheeks screaming "Dada" while running at me full speed. I cried. I'm not ashamed of that. The ceremony was beautiful. I gave a toast that made everyone laugh. We even had a small chocolate cake placed on the dessert table with "Congrats, Evan," piped on top. It was silly and token and, staring at it now, so obviously not enough. We'd invited Evan to join the reception after his ceremony, but he didn't come. The cake sat in a corner, melting into itself. The next day, we took Evan to dinner. He ordered fries and stared at them like they were evidence. We told him again how proud we were. He said, cool. We didn't push because we thought we shouldn't make the moment about our guilt. We tucked away the discomfort and called it moving on. We were wrong. At the time, the logic felt solid. Weddings are unique, rare, carefully orchestrated. Graduations happen in a line. You're one name among hundreds. I told myself that walking Ray down the aisle is a once-in-a-lifetime moment for a father, and Evan, independent, allergic to fanfare, wouldn't mind as much. And we'd compensate. I built a moral equation and balanced it with promises. But feelings don't care about balance sheets. Evan is my son. The ceremony might have been perfunctory to me, but to him, we were choosing. We chose publicly. The stadium camera panned over crowds and parents. His seat was one of those seats, empty of his people. He sat inside that space by himself and graduated to the sound of other families cheering. No amount of cake by proxy can fix that. That's what I understand now. I keep replaying the conversations. The slackness in his voice. The way he started spending more time in his room after the date was set. The missed jokes. He didn't hold a screaming match. He drifted. I mistook silence for consent. That's on me. Our extended family went all in on the wedding. My mother cried happy tears. My father danced to twist and shout and pretended his hip didn't hurt. Every cousin and aunt and uncle texted photos. In the group chat, someone asked halfway through the night, "Where's Evan?" And someone else replied, "He said he might swing by later." He didn't. No one left the party. No one raised a flag and said, Maybe one of us should be at the graduation. We were a flock that flew as one, and we left one bird on the ground. Afterward, the family perspective hardened into a narrative. We tried our best. Evan is introverted. He didn't want a crowd. He was fine. We all wanted that story. It absolved us. Then, a few weeks ago, now that he's graduating college this December, Evan texted the family group chat. I don't want anyone at my ceremony who wasn't at my high school graduation. That's no one. He didn't add emojis. He didn't add no hard feelings. He just drew a line. My wife cried and said, he's punishing us. My mother called me and said, this is cruel. My father said, he'll get over it. Ray went quiet and then whispered to me privately, Dad, did I steal his moment? She's been carrying guilt, too, and I hate that for her. I told everyone to breathe. I told myself we would talk to him, man to man, heart to heart, and fix it. We invited Evan to brunch. He showed up in a hoodie and tapped the table with his fingernail like a metronome. My wife reached for his hand. He pulled back. I said, son, we're proud of you. We want to be there in December. Let us. He looked me dead in the eye and said, I remember sitting alone. I remember the names being called and the parents cheering, and I remember nothing for me. I kept thinking, if I get hurt or if something huge happens, will they choose me? Or will there always be something bigger? He wasn't shouting. He wasn't cruel. He was surgical. I started to say, but the wedding. And he cut me off. I know it was a big day. I'm not asking you to undo that. I'm just telling you what it did to me. So no, you don't get to sweep in now and post photos and cry and act proud. I did that one alone. I'll do this one alone too. He paid his half of the bill and left. The sound of the door closing felt like a gavel. Now I'm stuck in the tension of intention versus impact. We never meant to abandon him. We made a decision that, we thought, was reasonable, but we didn't consider how reason looks from the cheap seats. I can list all the logistics, costs, timelines. None of that changes the image of my son in a folding chair, looking over a sea of parents and realizing his were somewhere else, clinking glasses. I want to fix it. I want to rewrite that day, or at least write a new ending for December. But I also don't want to bulldoze his boundary because I feel guilty and want a redemption arc. My wife is devastated. Ray is carrying blame. The grandparents feel rejected. And Evan is steady in his no. So, AITA for choosing my daughter's wedding over my son's graduation. And am I the age now if I try to push my way back into this next ceremony? Or do I honor his boundary, even if it cements the story that we weren't there when it counted? Update, 2 months later. A lot has happened. I read every comment I could handle. Some compassionate, some brutal, many fair. A theme emerged. Apologize without excuses, make amends in a way that centers him, and accept that his boundary might hold. So I wrote Evan a letter, not an email, not a text. A real letter. I apologized, full stop, for not being there at his high school graduation and for assuming he'd be fine. I told him I understood that my choice communicated something I never intended, that he was second. I told him I wouldn't try to litigate the wedding or the logistics. I asked what he would need from me to start rebuilding trust, if he wanted to. He didn't respond for a week. Then he texted, thanks for the letter. A few days later, he asked if we could grab coffee, just the two of us. He told me how small he felt that day, how he sat through the ceremony and couldn't wait to get home and shut the door. He said the worst part wasn't the choice. It was the cake at the wedding with congrats, Evan. Like we tried to paste his moment into someone else's. That stung because it was true. I said sorry again. I didn't explain. I asked what he wanted for December. He said, I still don't want you at the ceremony. But if you want to celebrate, we can do dinner the night after. No speeches, no surprise guests. Just us. We took it. We booked a quiet place he likes. Ray called him separately, apologized for her part. Not for having the wedding, but for not noticing his hurt. They cried together. She offered to help pay for a trip he's been talking about. He said he'd think about it. My wife started therapy to work on the guilt and the way she takes silence as agreement. I'm going, too, because apparently I need to learn that reasonable isn't the same as right. December came. We didn't attend the ceremony. We didn't post a single thing. We texted, we love you, the morning of and left it at that. The next night, we had dinner, just the four of us. Evan showed up in a button-down, progress, and actually smiled. We talked about his plans, his favorite classes, the professor who is allergic to punctuation. We gave him a practical gift he asked for, noise-canceling headphones, and a handwritten promise that when the next big moment arrives in his life, we will check in with his feelings before we make any plan. He folded the note and put it in his wallet. No grand reconciliation, no movie ending, but a step. He hasn't forgiven us, not fully. But the door is open, and this time, we're not taking that for granted.